I thought they were a little bit crazy to jump into the restaurant business.
A lot of people didn't know what to expect.
It's like first class, it's excellent.
You know, we sat down and said, hey, we got 90 days to get this place rocking, and worked out perfect. The interesting thing about Steenan is it had a pretty active community and rec board, and the town still has annual bond spill and nice curling rink. And
My dad used to be able to come into town with his parents, and they would go shopping and out for a meal, and he'd be able to go watch a movie or something. So there was lots of stuff to do in the earlier years, that's for sure. We have about 90 people, I think, is the last census in town, somewhere about there.
we live on a farm just north here, about 8 miles, and we'd come through Steenan to go to the mill every day. And Thursday nights was wing night at the old King George Hotel, and of course everybody would meet there and socialize and have wings and a beer. And the owners that had the restaurant or the hotel were looking at selling, weren't able to find anybody interested in buying, and so we thought, well, we'd buy the old King George Hotel and we'd restore it to its glory days of the early 1900s. And of course the town's 100th anniversary was coming up the following year in 2012, and that was kind of the place where people come for homecoming and they could attend events. Unfortunately, just before the deal transpired, the King George caught fire and burnt down.
We had our fire department there, and then Sturgis was called in to lose something that's probably one of the oldest buildings in town, because I don't think it was too long after the railroad come through that the hotel was built.
The town wondered if we were interested in taking the old school and turning it into a restaurant. We thought about it and thought, hey, why not give it a try? And we'd kind of turn it into like the old King George, where you'd have wings on a Thursday night and serve some beer and maybe have a few dances. Away we went, and worked out perfect. Of course, we start developing it, and starting at one end, and the idea was to have kind of a Western theme. Of course, each of the classrooms kind of almost a restaurant in itself. So we started developing it and had an idea for the different rooms. And as we got about partway through, we thought, my wife said, well, by golly, this is going to be an awful big bar without serving regular food. And we ran out of ideas for the 6th major room, so we decided, hey, let's turn that into a kitchen. We ended up getting all the equipment so we could have a full-fledged restaurant. And interesting enough, because the town was deciding on the school, and they contacted me and said, well, our homecoming is the long weekend in August. If you buy the school, can you have it developed into a restaurant so you can be serving all the people coming home? Well, we said we'd give it a try, so we took ownership on May the 10th. And 90 days later, we opened up a week ahead of time to have the restaurant and the bar, and homecoming was spectacular. There was hundreds and hundreds of people, and the old bar was full, lined up. And the only reason that happened was because the local people helped out, and the tradespeople, you know, we sat down and said, hey, we got 90 days to get this place rocking. And anyway, we decided after that, boy, we better get some help. Got a hold of my son Fraser, he's living in Montreal, so I said, hey, sonny boy, you want to try a new venture in your life? And he said, okay. He come out, and then he took over managing and running the Rawhides restaurant. Hey, howdy guys. Oh. So we had a big event yesterday at the restaurant. We actually had about 500 people in total in the restaurant, and
yeah, for a population of 73 in Steenan, bringing 500 people through is gets a little town hopping.
I'll be at the restaurant later, and we got to maybe look at a couple of applications too here. So if you want to stop in, I'm not sure I can finance a beer, but maybe you can buy the old man one, and I'd happily join you for one, and we can talk about, you know, where we go from here.
Yeah, count me in. Well, I actually had no idea my dad and Brenda were building Rawhides. I was in Montreal on the national judo team and going to school out that way for human resource management and international business. So it was a big surprise to me to find out, hey, this was actually already done in an operation. I thought they were a little bit crazy to jump into the restaurant business because of my business degree. A lot of the lessons of what not to do came from starting a restaurant. The failure rate was massive, and staffing and all the other challenges involved in it, that was kind of the outline of what not to do. And that's where the idea came up of kind of becoming partners.
After he came back from Montreal, he was managing the place, and I was kind of staying over at the mill and looking at product development and doing some things. And as the years passed, Fraser became more interested in the farming and product development and the mill side of it. So about a year ago, he said, geez, Pop, can you go back and kind of GM at the Rawhides, and I'll take on a few more responsibilities on the farm. So I said, hey, that's okay. You kind of got things set up, so maybe I can take it from there. Fraser and Melaine have been instrumental in terms of developing through all those middle years, right? Melaine now has her real estate license, so she does accounting in the real estate office, and she's doing some real estate business. Actually, my wife passed away that was helping the development, but I remarried a year ago. My wife, Ingrid, is the manager now in terms of the restaurant, so I guess it is a family affair. Well, I guess I've always enjoyed kind of working with wood, so I guess it started out restoring some furniture, old oak dressers and all kinds of things that I would strip and restore. So if you look around, you'll see lots of stuff that I collected over the years, and hey, this is a good place to display them, right? I collected coins, so I had lots of old coins and gold chips and stuff, and they probably give me more pleasure watching them in the top of the bar top than opening up a little box at home and looking at them, right? Nobody has old lanterns from the barn on the wall and wooden chandeliers on the ceiling, and that's part of the wow factor, right? So we knew if we're going to have a restaurant that's going to attract tourists, we have to have a Red Seal chef or somebody that's pretty good. So we advertised for a Red Seal chef. A fellow applied from Toronto, actually. He actually was very handy as a carpenter as well. And so if you look at their tabletops, he used his router to route in rawhides, and then he used his creme brulee fire stick to burn in the rawhides into the wood.
The person who designed, for me, is very talented because he doesn't have any architect. As you see, you can see different rooms in 4 sections of the restaurant, and then it's like amazing. And that's only in his mind.
Pops comes to the drawing table and just makes magic happen like he always does on that design front. And we end up with this beautiful, unique, one-of-a-kind spa that has that same feel when you walk into it, in my opinion, that it's that wow factor. You walk in and you're like, wow, like this is something I'm not going to find anywhere else.
Ten months now since our new head chef, Piyush Chawla, joined our team, and of course he's brought some new flavors to our menu, and his experience in terms of running a kitchen and developing it has certainly been invaluable to the Rawhides experience.
So when I came, I understand the market first, and then because the market is very seasonal. It has a diverse menu from around the world. It has Indian menu, we have Lebanese food, Arabic food, we have Asian food, we have Korean food, we have American food, which is burgers and poutines and Canadian food. So now the menu has increased to double the menu what we had before. So I think this helps Rawhides to grow, and it's always time to give to community back, Okay, so we're going to start with the mussel marinara. We saute the garlic, and then on a high flame we drop the mussels. The food has to looks good, so fire has to be there inside for any profession, so that's why we play with the fire, Squeeze some lemon on the top, go with a little cream with the salt and pepper, and your dish is ready. Okay, so next dish we're going to make is our very famous cashew bowl. So we start with oil in the pan. We start with onions, the white onions. Second step is we drop some chopped peppers. Then go with the cabbage and juliennes of carrot. We have our chicken already pre-cooked. You can hear the noise of the chicken. You drop some sauce. And that's your cashew bowl. So now we're going to make a French dessert called moufle. So we're going to put some cream. So there's only one puff. Then we're going to drop some blueberries which are cooked in the syrup. We have one more last puff on top. We're going to put the quenelles of the cream on top. Then we have a homemade pistachio cream. And we have a chocolate sauce, some more sugar on top. And here we go with our French muesli.
I guess part of the business model, you know, after that first year, we were just overwhelmed with tourists and local people. And people would say, well, you know, boy, this would be nice for, you know, a little bigger for a wedding or something or anniversary. So we thought, hey, let's build the event center.
Dad and Brenda, with their creativity, they just started going to work, figuring out plans and designs, and then they threw some things my way. And it was just, I don't know where they come up with this type of vision on the development. So I saw the plans and I said, this is, if you can pull this off, this is phenomenal.
The next phase was the big outdoor deck that, you know, not many people have.
And what's that deck gonna look like? And next thing you know, you sent me another design, and this deck was enormous with that big backdrop and the stage and everything else kind of there that fits so well with the design of the event center and then Rawhides itself.
The whole concept is that we can accommodate most any event. We've had weddings on the deck, and you know, we built a bridge over top that part so the bride and groom could walk over. But some like it in here. It's a little bit smaller, and so we've had beautiful, and they decorate it fantastic. Or you can have it outside. So we got basically 3 wedding venues in one. You know, we didn't realize at the time, but you know, the campground isn't busy mostly during the week, but there's our people that stop here because we're close to some golf courses like Crystal Lake and Good Spirit and Madge.
Yeah, the campgrounds were there originally with the school. So we've just taken and made them a little more user-friendly, getting power and water there.
So they'll camp here and they'll go golf at Crystal Lake and then come here for dinner. And the same thing, they can rent some places here. They can actually, and if they have a few too many bubblies, they can walk across the street. It's no problem. They don't have to drive to Yorkton to find a place to stay.
Dad wouldn't have done it on his own. It was for Brenda. Rawhides would have never been created if it wasn't for her and him kind of being partners in life. Her input and feedback also helped my dad with his creativity and design, and they worked so well together. It just turns out now that Ingrid's an amazing part of that team and helping run that ship and doing a fantastic job, but that was kind of part of the original creation of it all. And she's not with us anymore. She passed away. Pancreatic cancer was a tough go, and that took a lot out of Pops, but if it wasn't for Rawhides too, like that actually helped her get through her treatment. Like that's when the event center was built. Part of the process of trying to get her through the treatments and everything was having something for her to focus on. It also clicked into Dad. He's like, okay, if she's got a project that we can work on together, just like Rawhides with so many great memories, this will help her work through the treatment and give her the best odds, keeping her positive and creative and enjoying something. Unfortunately, she passed away just like a month before kind of really opening the event center, so she wasn't able to see it kind of really get rolling, but it was just almost there. So whenever I see Rawhides too, that's part of the story, that memory and legacy of her. That's kind of has her signature all over it as well.
We rely on foreign staff to operate Rawhides. And of course, federal and provincial government have immigration programs. A lot of the staff that's foreign come here and they're looking for their permanent residency. And of course, there's a period of time, the process you have to go through. And for that process, then they're giving their all to Rawhides.
If it wasn't for them, there's absolutely no way that Rawhides would have had the success it's had and continues to have. But providing them the opportunity to come to a place where they can actually then bring their families and build a life.
I guess the good news in our career, we've had more than 100 foreign workers here from all the different countries. You know, I'm pretty happy with we're able to be that conduit or that stepping stone.
It's really nice that you can see the diversity, and at the same time you can, like the culture, their culture, you will learn. The community itself is like, they are very welcoming. No matter what is your nationalities, we are treating equally in Rawhides.
But living in this small town, we go for farming with Doug, with the boss of the Rawhides. He took my kids for farming, and then we drive tractors. We see different part of the world. And this is also, I think, is very much enjoyable for me. Cooking I have learned over a period of time, so this is a time I can use that cooking which I worked and learn it and give something different food to the community.
Brenda, she loved different cultures and people. Like, she was a huge lover on that aspect, right? Like, her creating a place that was the reason for all that happening, she would be so proud of that. Just as proud of how well Rawhides has done, she'd be just as proud of how many lives it's helped.
This is pretty exciting. We got a summer lined up of lots of events happening, so I guess just maybe update me in terms of what's happening here for our main events.
So we have a Junior Brother that will be in July 19th, and prior to that we are planning to have the Talent Night. And for the Sunday that we have our car show.
For the talent night, now how have we got a bunch of talent booked already, local stuff?
Yes, we have, since when it posted in our Facebook page, we already have some talents that would like to register.
I guess last year we had the Johnner Brothers as the judges. How about this year? What have we got lined up there?
I have a plan that we're gonna get Trent. Trent Prakaski is our winner last 2018.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. In the car show then, have we got lots of entries coming for that? And
for the car show, yes.
And for promoting that on our Facebook and website, that should draw quite a few cars to the event. Well, that sounds pretty good, and we've got the kitchens kind of prepared for the big event, and we're going to have the hot dog stand out back.
And then we're going to add in this year, we're going to have some ice cream.
Well, it looks like it's going to be about 1,000,000 degrees, so having ice cream as a feature might be kind of a cool thing, pardon the pun. Well, it sounds like it's going to be an exciting night, so maybe we can kick up our heels and join in the fun and the games, hey?
That's right.
My husband was partaked in this talent show a few times, so this year he decided not to, so they asked us to judge. Yeah, and then our cousins, came too, so it was great. It was kind of a family affair, but they're all very talented, so yeah, and I'm just here for the ride.
I can say that the audience actually is growing. We started it like around 2018, and we only have few contestants. And now it's like more and more and more. As you know, Johnner Brothers is the one of the famous in the Saskatchewan band. We hired them last year, and it turned out pretty good. So I've seen that the crowd are participating, dancing, and then enjoying.
And they put on a really good show. Yeah, people that are going tonight are going to really enjoy it.
I know with the town, they've been fantastic, and that's the same thing. If it wasn't for the towns, Rawhides wouldn't have made it either, because of the support we received from them and the understanding that we received from them. When you have a town full of vehicles and you can barely kind of drive down Main Street. That happens more often than you can believe. So they've been ultra supportive and really understanding, and we do our best to accommodate for certain things, like the best we can to keep things looking good.
I think it's been really positive from what I've heard, like over the years. A lot of people didn't know what to expect. In the long run, you know, like Fraser and Doug are really good to work with. We've done a lot of good things here. Yeah, so hopefully we can keep the relationship going, and hopefully Rawhides will be here for years to come.
The thing that brings me to Rawhides is definitely the food. It's like first class, it's excellent. And just the atmosphere, it's just really great. Well, when you walk in the doors, you see a beautiful bar area, and then the rooms, different rooms are decorated very nicely. I went to school here, so it's really been interesting to watch this transformation from a schoolhouse to a really nice restaurant.
If it wasn't for Rawhides, I would have never come back to Saskatchewan. If it wasn't for Rawhides, I would have never met my wife. I wouldn't have the 3 awesome kids I have, right? If I wasn't back in Saskatchewan, I wouldn't be nearly as close with my brothers as I am now, so I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have the life I have. So to me, it has such a special place.
It's nice to develop something from nothing, basically, and have it successful, right? And not that you don't plan to be successful, but, you know, the restaurant business isn't necessarily an easy business to be in. And developing all of this out here isn't necessarily the ideal place to be, and yet it kind of works. And we're on our 13th year now, so they say that's the magic year. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
Is there a restaurant or beverage producer you'd like to see featured on maxTV Local? Let us know at SaskTel.com/local.